Grief, a natural human response to loss, is a deeply personal and multifaceted experience. Grief is not a linear process, and individuals may experience a wide range of emotions, including sadness, anger, guilt, and despair. These emotions can manifest in various behaviors, such as social withdrawal, changes in sleep or appetite, and difficulty concentrating. Grief theories offer valuable perspectives on the grieving process. Elisabeth Kübler-Ross introduced the 5 stages of grief. Denial is disbelief and refusal to accept the loss. Anger involves rage and resentment. Bargaining reflects attempts to negotiate with fate. Depression brings profound sadness and hopelessness. Acceptance signifies coming to terms with the loss. Individuals may experience these stages differently. Maria went through the stages of grief after the sudden loss of her husband, John. Initially, Maria couldn't comprehend the news of John's passing. She refused to believe John is dead. Denial temporarily shielded her from the pain. As the reality sunk in, Maria's denial gave way to anger. She felt furious at the world, at fate, and even at John for leaving her. Maria clung to hope, bargaining with a higher power. She found herself making promises to a higher power, vowing to live a more virtuous life if only John could be returned to her. As her bargaining failed, Maria fell into a deep depression. The vibrancy she once possessed faded, replaced by profound sadness and a sense of hopelessness. Gradually, over time, Maria began to accept the reality of John's absence. While the pain of his loss never fully disappeared, she carried his memory, finding ways to honor him. John Bowlby emphasized the importance of attachment bonds in grief. According to attachment theory, grief is a natural response when attachment bond is severed. Bowlby outlined 4 phases of grief. Phase 1. Shock and numbness is characterized by disbelief, emotional numbing, and a sense of unreality. Phase 2. Yearning and searching involve an intense longing for the deceased, often accompanied by searching behaviors and a preoccupation with thoughts of the lost loved one. Phase 3. Disorganization and despair mark a period of intense emotional distress, feelings of sadness, anger, guilt, and hopelessness. Phase 4. Reorganization involves a gradual acceptance of the loss, forging a new identity in life without the deceased, and forming of new attachments. As an illustration, after losing her child, Lisa feels numb and in disbelief, shock and numbness. She frequently visits her child's favorite park, hoping to feel their presence, yearning and searching. Eventually, she confronts the reality that her child is gone, leading to feelings of hopelessness, disorganization, and despair. Over time, Lisa begins volunteering at a children's organization, finding a way to channel her grief positively. Reorganization. George Engel, grief as a medical process. Engel likened grief to a healing process, much like recovering from an illness. He outlined 3 main stages: shock and disbelief, which are the initial reaction to the loss. Developing awareness is when emotional and physical reactions to the loss emerge, such as crying, anger, or withdrawal. Restitution is where allowing one to participate in rituals like funerals allows the individual to gradually accept the loss and rebuild their life. When Paul's father dies, he feels dazed and unable to process the news, shock and disbelief. In the following weeks, he experiences waves of intense sadness and anger, developing awareness. After participating in the funeral and reconnecting with family, he begins to find ways to honor his father's legacy and move forward. Restitution. J. William Worden proposed 4 tasks of mourning that an individual must work through: accepting the reality of the loss, confronting the fact that the loss is real, processing the pain of grief, allowing oneself to feel and express grief fully, adjusting to a world without the deceased, adapting to life roles and routines without the loved one, finding an enduring connection, maintaining a bond with the deceased while moving forward with life. After her best friend dies, Sarah initially struggles to believe she's gone, accepting the reality. She begins journaling and crying as she processes her pain, processing the pain. She then learns to manage daily life independently, taking on responsibilities her friend used to share, adjusting. Eventually, she keeps her friend's memory alive through a photo album while forging new relationships, finding an enduring connection. In summary, Kübler-Ross emphasizes emotional stages in response to grief. Bowlby focuses on attachment and emotional phases of mourning. Engel views grief as a medical healing process. Worden identifies tasks that help individuals adapt and rebuild after loss. Each theory offers valuable insights into understanding grief and tailoring support for individuals navigating their unique grieving processes.